We're going to continue do to study React today, and I, I I've been watching Primogen for some time, and I never understood why he uses the headphone outside of the hoodie. I thought it was for aesthetic reasons, but then today I was watching another guy, another videos of someone talking about code or reacting to code videos, and he was also using I forgot the name in English, but something you put inside of you put on your head, and was using the headphones outside, and then it made me realize that that's actually genius. The reason why he uses probably like this is because it's a lot more comfortable, and this headset annoys me a lot sometimes because of the area here is really annoying, the contact. So I'm gonna try to do it like this. I think it is more comfortable, but it has also some drawbacks, so I think I'll go back and forth between them. But it's actually genius, and I just realized today, like, oh shit, that's why he does it like that. So yeah, I think I didn't realize at first because I thought that his headset was probably out better than mine. So because I think that it makes sense if you're programming and spend a lot of time, then you would invest a lot more on everything that is related to code. But I think the reason why he does it like that is probably because of comfort. And it makes a lot of sense. So I spend a lot of time building stuff on the other project, just the fake smaller project, to try to understand the real one. So I think that's what I'm gonna do today. But so I realized that the issue I was having, probably most likely, I still haven't figured out, but I think that's the case. The issue I was having while trying to mount everything on try to use the custom reconciler or the functional component, is that I was passing this keyword here as a third argument, and it was undefined. So this is the reason why I think when you use the class component on the other application and you pass this here, it passes the class as the object. It passes the class as the argument, and then this function here, it uses that as the parent component. So that's going to create the link between the custom renderer and the other renderer. But because I was passing this keyword on the other one, I think that's the reason why it wasn't working, because it wasn't defined. So even though the function works and it renders everything, it doesn't have a connection to the main DOM, so it doesn't show up. So I've been trying to fix this, but then I created another functional component outside of this, so I can pass there, so it works as a parent. But then it wasn't working because a functional component doesn't have the React internals property, and as is going through this function and it's trying to get the context, so it connects both of the renderers together. It calls a function to get the React internal property, which I assume right now is something that it creates along the way. But I don't understand, because after I tried to do it with the functional component, I changed to the class component and it still doesn't work. So apparently this still doesn't have the React internals property, but on the other app it works. So I assume that is something that happens along the way on the other example, that as it's creating the main tree, it creates this React internals property, and then it needs that property to create the fiber that is going to connect the custom renderer with the main one, and that's what allows you to use this stuff. So I want to see if I can figure that out, because then if I can, I can make it happen with functional components here in the simple example, and then I can use this example to understand better how it works. And then once I understand that, then I'll go back to the other one, and I try to make the other one work. And the main reason why I want to test functional components is because I think that it's probably different the way that the cycles work, because it's the same thing, but it's in a different way in the way that the source code works, I think. Because when you're using class components, it's more about cycles, and when you're using functional components, it's more about what the code does. So I think that there's a decent chance that if I change everything to work as with a functional component instead of using the class component, it's gonna solve the issue of the rendering. That the child component mounts after the parent component was mounted, and that makes it so that you don't have access to the app class when you're trying to destroy on the custom pixie component that is a child of the main stage component. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Maybe I should do the Italian stuff. I think I'm gonna have to remove the hoodie at some point because it's not cold here. So it gets too hot, but it's definitely more comfortable than just using the headphones on the skin. Yeah. So the issue is that it can't access the alternate property because it doesn't create the fiber. So I think I'm gonna open the other application as well and then compare both of them. It's very difficult to figure out what's going on. Like, I think right now I understand for the most part how the functions work, but like on the context of what I'm trying to do is still very hard to know how to solve it. Don't know how long it's gonna take for me to figure this out. Fa.
Does.
Fisso.
Fisso.
Set. Unchanging.
3.
3.
3.
Desiderare.
Desiderare.
Desire.
Aria.
Aria.
Air.
Bene.
Bene.
Well.
Anche.
Anche.
Also.
Giocare.
Giocare.
Play.
Piccolo.
Piccolo.
Small.
Fine.
Fine.
End.
Mettere.
Mettere.
Put.
Casa.
Casa.
Home.
Leggere.
Leggere.
Read.
Mano.
Mano.
Hand.
Portare.
Portare.
Carry.
Grande.
Grande.
Large.
Compitare.
Compitare.
Spell. Words.
Aggiungere.
Aggiungere.
Add.
Anche.
Anche.
Even. Also.
Terra.
Terra.
Land.
Qui.
Qui.
Here.
Devo.
Devo.
I must.
Grande.
Grande.
Big.
Alto.
Alto.
High. Tall.
Tale.
Tale.
Such.
Seguire.
Seguire.
Follow.
Atto.
Atto.
Enact.
Perché.
Perché.
Why.
Chiedere.
Chiedere.
Ask.
Maschi.
Maschi.
Men.
Cambiamento.
Cambiamento.
A change.
È andato.
È andato.
She went.
Luce.
Luce.
Light.
Tipo.
Tipo.
Kind of thing.
Spento.
Spento.
Turned off.
Bisogno.
Bisogno.
Need.
Casa.
Casa.
House.
Immagine.
Immagine.
Image.
Provare.
Provare.
Try.
Noi.
Noi.
Us.
Di nuovo.
Di nuovo.
Again.
Animale.
Animale.
Animal.
Punto.
Punto.
Point.
Madre.
Madre.
Mother.
Mondo.
Mondo.
World.
Vicino.
Vicino.
Near.
Costruire.
Costruire.
Build.
Se stesso.
Se stesso.
Himself.
Terra.
Terra.
Earth.
Padre.
Padre.
Father.
I think another thing I should try to do here probably is to install or copy the file that's I'm using to create React, so I can put the breaking points, the debugger on the file itself. So I don't have to step through all of the functions all the time, because it's very annoying to do that. And I can set up breakpoints there on the developer tools, but I think that it's easier if I put it on the actual file. At Next.js I can't do that because it does some stuff under the hood that I don't understand. Just set everything up, but here I think I can do that because I can just change the imports here to use the files that I have locally instead of using the ones on node modules. So I can just copy them from here. I copy the full project and then just do the imports from a different place. Yeah, so I think I might do that. Just gonna copy this stuff. So I think the first thing that I want to achieve is be able to render this stuff here. So I have to figure out. I'm probably gonna have to look into both projects at the same time, or like go back and forth between them. Just see. Yeah, I think I actually have to start with the other project because I want to see at what point does it create the React thing. But the problem is that with the other projects that I can't put the breakpoints in the React file itself. I think I'm gonna remove this hoodie because it's getting hot here, so. So the other difference is the way that they both render stuff, which is something that I realized as well when I was studying yesterday, is that here it renders the canvas, but then the way that it connects this with the other stuff is through the app. It makes the view of the app to be equal to the canvas by using the ref that it sets up there. And then it creates the component based on the stage, which is a container inside of the app. Inside of the, yeah. It's a property of the app. The stage is a container class from Pixie. So it creates the container based on that. And so the container is going to be a fiber root node, which is going to be the return of this. Then it gets the children, which is just the provider with the children. So is the context here. And then it gets the stage class, which is this keyword. So it's mounting the host on the stage and then mounting the child on the host fiber. But then the stuff that it returns is just the canvas, and then the canvas is connected through the stage by the view property of the app. So that's another difference, I think, because if I use a functional component, I can pass through. I guess I can do the same thing. Just use the ref use ref hook instead of doing the way that they did here. But on the other example that I'm trying to see, I think it might be. I spent some time doing some variations of that, but it might be slightly different as well. Because I guess that's the thing that is difficult to, that I spent some time yesterday trying to understand as well, which is how is this component gonna be related to the main host fiber, because it's creating the other custom renderer inside of the life cycles of this component here. So the difficult thing to understand is how is this stuff that this component renders related to the whole tree of the custom renderer. But I think that now I understand better. It's just the custom renderer is based on the components you have here. So like whatever you put here is gonna be the thing that the host is gonna be mounted at, and then the life cycles of this component just determines how is the whole tree gonna be rendered on the custom reconciler. So I think I will be right back. We're just gonna remove this hoodie, and then I'll start. I think I'll start with the other one. So right back. Here it already has the React internals. This is the property that the other one doesn't have. It's inside of a state node. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong place on the other one. But it shouldn't have, because it doesn't create the thing. It's on this function, this one. It has the React internals here. Yeah, so that's the question. Is why does here it doesn't have the React internals, but on the other one it has. So maybe I should add empty functions for all of the cycles. See if it creates. Maybe it's because it's not rendering, that's the thing. I guess the other thing that I did was to put the wrapper here as well, because I thought about that. Then maybe the issue is that it doesn't render, the wrapper component doesn't render, so it doesn't create the React internals for whatever reason. So I decided to put it here as well, but it doesn't work. But I think it makes sense to put here. This is another difference, I think. Because when you use the class, you can use the this, and then it's gonna have access to the class. But when I'm using the functional component, I can't put this other component inside of the functional component, because by the time that the function is running inside of the use effect, the update container is running, I'm not gonna have access to the custom component. If I put this component inside of here, inside of this class, then at this point I'm not gonna have access to the component, I think. So it might be one of the differences of both components is that the class component renders the stuff first, and then it updates the effects. But it might be the same with the functional components as well, that it first runs the function and returns this stuff, but I think it is slightly different probably. Yeah, this is undefined here. Yeah, here it didn't call the render of this thing here, because otherwise it would console log. So I don't understand how we can mount the parent before. Maybe that's the reason why this one is not working. But why wouldn't it? Because I have this component as a wrapper in the parent here. So it should be mounting this component first. And then if that's the case, it should be showing there the... Oh, maybe it's because of the way that I'm importing here. Because this one exports as default. Could be that. Yeah, that's the problem, I think. So maybe it does work with the class component. Now it calls, so... Yes, I have to render children here, probably. I think it should be this, children. Or this the props that children. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. I think now it works. No, it's still undefined. Why? That's really weird. I guess the other thing that I can do is just console log this stage. Actually, it's probably better if I put the use effect, because then it's gonna be at the same point that I'm creating this one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so here he still doesn't have the React internals. Oh, it should pass the class instead of passing the component. That's why I think. Yeah, the class has it. Hmm. Actually, it's better to put the console log inside of here as well. Oh. Yeah, this one has it. Oh, it's because there is a React component. That's the thing. No, but like, it should be showing. Well, it's probably because it creates a different instance. So if I console log a new class, it's probably gonna have. But then the weird thing is, how does that work with the rendering? Oh, this one doesn't have. I don't understand why. Maybe it's because of the life cycle. So yeah, here it doesn't have. Yeah, here it does, huh? So it's clearly something that happens when it's creating this. Yeah, I think I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Here's the point that it does that. That's adopt class instance. Trying to understand why when it comes to log inside of the child, it doesn't have the property though, because it should go. It's probably because of the points, because it looks like it creates this property when it's updating the class component. So I think that what's happening is first it creates the component, then it creates the child before it updates the component. So by the time it goes, but the thing is that I stepped through it and it looks like it didn't go to the children. So like by the time it gets to the children, it should have the React internals anyway. The other thing that I'm trying to think about is, that I'm probably gonna search, is whether or not the function components have similar functions that are gonna set up the React internals. As I'll keep stepping through it, see what happens. It could be that I'm console logging the wrong thing there. But it should be... It should be a property of the component. Guys will say. So this might be the reason why, I think. Because it's the state node, but... Why would the React internals be directly on the class here? And then... on the components, it doesn't have. Like when I'm console logging outside, it doesn't have the React internals. That's the weird thing. I guess I can look for... is down. Okay. You probably cut the stream because of the music. The copyrights. I just don't get what I'm supposed to pass there. Maybe you can't really use it outside of a class component. But that wouldn't make sense to me, so that should be something else. So I guess I need to figure out like what exactly do I have to pass there? You should answer this. I think the reason why is because they're probably using a custom reconciler, so that's why they call here. But actually no, because they're just calling the function. So I have to see from where they are getting the function. It's gonna be really hard to find something about it. So I'm trying to think about what kind of things I can pass there. Hmm. Obviously, if I create it inside of the class, it defeats the point of doing things like this in the first place. If the whole point is to render the custom or initialize the custom reconciler inside of a functional component instead of a class component. So I have to figure out how to access this. It's clearly different here, obviously, so it's probably something related to the instance, or it can be related to the way that React renders. After it completes everything, then it becomes something different when it returns. So like outside of the rendering functions, because obviously it creates this stuff as is rendering the component. But then from outside, it becomes this thing here. So how can I see at what point it goes from this thing to this thing? As I can console log on the one it's mounting as well, but it's gonna be the same thing. This is the main thing, like I'm console logging two different things. So, yeah. And the other alternative would obviously be to pass something different. Maybe I can use ref. And no, I think I tried to pass with the ref and it's not the same thing. Because what I need to pass is an object. Like it's a parent component, but somehow it has to have this React internals thing. So I think it needs to be a component that is rendered before the custom one, because obviously the point is to connect that with the tree. Because otherwise it's gonna render everything, but then it doesn't have access to, like there's no link between the main React DOM and the custom one, so but a normal component should work. I don't understand why it doesn't. Because here just passes this, so like a function should work. I think what I'm gonna do is step through the process of creating the functional components to see if I can catch at any point, but I think it's not gonna have the React internals on the functional components. But I'm trying to think about how can I put an endpoint somewhere that's gonna allow me to see what the functional component is gonna be. So obviously it's gonna be the object, but then like I wonder if there's a difference as well. In the class components is easy because I can use this, but then on the function is gonna be undefined. So like, because I imagine that from the function when it's outside, it goes through the same process of this one, that after it renders everything, it becomes this object here, but maybe not, because from the times that I've stepped through it, it creates this object with the JSX in the very beginning. So doesn't make sense. Like at this point, it creates the JSX, and then it's gonna have the object. I guess I can console log the app as well, just see. But probably not gonna have the property as well. Actually, it's a weird thing because I wonder if it's gonna be different. Because I'm console logging the function as I'm rendering. Yeah, but it doesn't have React internals as well, so obviously the things are two different things. I'm just trying to understand what this stuff is. I think I'm gonna try to figure out upstream. I'm just gonna have to sit here and think about different ways to just see this. Maybe I'll try something else as well. Like, because the whole point of doing this is to see if I can get close on why the other thing is a problem, the rendering stuff. But it's not necessary for me to do things with a functional component. If I can make it work with the class component, then I think that I would be fine with that. The main thing is trying to understand how why does the rendering priority changes when you use a custom reconciler from when you use the normal one. So why do I have a problem with the way that it updates the context when I'm using the custom reconciler, and it is not a problem if I use the normal one. So the main focus is just to understand how it sets up the priorities of updates in React, so I can fix this thing. But it would be nice if I could make it work with a functional component instead. You just have to think about like maybe different things that I can pass here, or maybe like try different things, watch the videos again. But I think that I've already watched all of the videos about the all of that I could find on YouTube about the custom React reconciler, custom renderers. But I think if I figure out what you pass here and make this function work, then it's probably gonna render everything. So I just have to... Yeah, but I'm gonna have to spend some time here thinking and not doing anything, just trying to think about different ways to try to make it work. Then once I do, I think it's gonna work, and then once it works, I think I can step through to understand like how it updates everything. And I think if this works, yeah, then I think that I'm gonna be able to see if the problem is of the functional component or the class component, or if something else. Because if this works, then it's gonna be very clear if it breaks, because I'm gonna be able to see like how does the state of the variable changes across the cycle of renderings when you're using the custom reconciler and when you're just using the React DOM reconciler. If it changes anything on the way that the life cycle works of the components. So I think that's the main priority now. So, but I think that there's a decent chance that it's gonna solve the problem, because I think it is different the way that it renders the class components than the way that it renders the functional components. But there's also a decent chance that it doesn't work and the problem is something else. So yeah, but I don't feel like doing this on stream. I'm probably gonna try to solve this, and then I'm just gonna stream again once I figure it out, how to make this work, which might take a long time. So yeah, I'm gonna try to figure this out, and then once I do, I'm probably gonna come back and stream the process of stepping through. Obviously, I'm gonna be able to know once I figure this out if it is the functional component or not, but I think the next time that I stream, then I'm gonna step through the function so I can see, I can study and understand what differences the cycles have in both cases. So yeah, not sure how long it's gonna be or what time I'm gonna be streaming next, but it's probably what I'm gonna do. So see you next time.